Alatar wasted no time in gathering his forces and marching them north. He had heard stories of the great lands of Eshin, the most powerful of the northern nations, and was determined to make them bow to Celiadar. His army was composed of the finest warriors from Celiadar and the conquered territories of Kellenberg, Nibalis, Cal, and Efnistan, and Alatar was confident in their strength and ability to carry out his orders. The vast campaign began with a grand show of strength, and King Alatar gathered the entirety of his army to march on Baleria. The country had recently been weakened by civil war and could not put up much of a fight. Baleria became the first nation to be conquered by Alatar in the campaign. The Celiadarian army then moved on to Argatrea and Targol, defeating the armies of both nations and adding them to the ranks of Celiadar. The last four nations, Sevener, Nordwarf, Alagar, and Senegland, fell in quick succession as the unstoppable army of Alatar swept across the north of the continent. With every conquest, Alatar revealed his tremendous skill in tactics and strategy. His army seemed to discover the weaknesses of every opponent instantaneously and exploit them, sometimes without even a battle taking place. This eventually all led to the final conquest, that of Eshin. This was the most formidable of all the nations of the north and provided the greatest challenge yet for Alatar and his army. But eventually even the mighty Eshin was forced to submit to the will of King Alatar. With the conquest of Eshin, the remainder of the northern nations were quick to submit, not wishing to suffer the same fate. Alatar was generous in his terms of surrender, granting the defeated nations autonomy and allowing them to rule themselves as vassals of Celiadar. Finally, after 5 long years of bloodshed and conflict, Alatar and his army returned to Celiadar. The country was now one of the greatest powers on the continent, and the people lined the streets to cheer their victorious king. To celebrate his success, Alatar declared a great feast to honor the fallen and the living. But as the people of Celiadar rejoiced in their victories, far to the south a new alliance was formed. Nations from all corners of the realm began to unite, determined to avoid the fate of the fallen northern kingdoms. Thus, the Great Alliance of the South was born.